AskReddit by Monitor. What rich people foods actually aren't very good? Oh man, everything on this list people are complaining about I think is pretty good. Not worth the price perhaps, but tasty. The item I'd say is gold leaf. Literally has no taste, you're just wasting money. Deleted. Gold flakes. I'm not sure if gold actually tastes like anything, but can't begin to understand why rich people need gold flakes on their food. Doesn't really taste like anything, and does nothing more than make your poop sparkly. It doesn't even really cost all that much. You can buy a pack of it for like $20, but some restaurants, cough salt by cough, adds like $1,000 to the price. Shark fin soup is not very good. The fin is super gummy and doesn't add much flavor. Most of the flavor comes from other things in it. From my understanding it's more of a good luck thing. Regardless, seeing it on the menu in a random restaurant in C was a bit shocking. Almost everything that is very expensive, apart from gold leaves, is incredibly good in its true form. A really good Perigord truffle, really good caviar. These things are being used for money making because the real deal stuff is just that effing good. Unfortunately, foie gras de canard ou entier is amongst the most delicious things that exist. I don't consume it, but I hope that one of the many startups trying will succeed in replicating it without animal cruelty. I worked in the Salak biomanufacturing space for 15 years. I was there when those startups formed and every single one of them is a joke at this point. I think they were sincere when they started, but they've all known for a long while now that it won't be economically competitive for a few more decades. Their careers are so wrapped up in the failure that they just have to keep fundraising for as long as they can and ride it out. There's a whole bunch of mini theranos lawsuits that are going to go down in that industry over the next 3-5 years. You'll be eating cricket burgers long before you're able to get self-farmed foie gras or cultured wagyu beef. I once had a fancy baguette that had like a billion adjectives and was expensive, not sports car and mansion, but much more expensive than regular bread, and it tasted like a heavier dough bread that maybe had some butter mixed in. Had a baguette baked at a Michelin star restaurant and it was in the top 3 pieces of bread I've ever put into my mouth. Find the right baguette for you. She is out there, I promise. Gold leaf. It doesn't taste like anything, it's just there so you can brag about it. Almost by definition it doesn't taste like anything. Gold is almost perfectly non-reactive. You might sense a bit of metallicity as a side effect of its conductivity, but you'll never taste anything. I'm not sure if this counts, but placenta. Deleted. Lots of foie gras hate in here, but I had it on a splurge at a high-end market in Paris, Fauchin I believe dart. You could buy it by the mg like it was drugs. I bought €20 worth, 2010ish, and it came with some bread. The amount appeared to be about 2 tablespoons to me, USA. I spread it on toast and it was like the richest, smoothest butter with an amazing mouthfeel and nuttiness. That was my introduction to foie gras and I've never had one that's even close since. I also wouldn't rush to spend that much on minimal food again, but if I was rich and lived in Paris, I'd have it every Friday matched with wine. It was heavenly. I was served it as a slab on a steak at a wedding in France. I could choose to not eat it, but the meal had already been prepared. It's the best thing I will never eat again. Beluga caviar comes from the Caspian Sea, bordered on all sides by industrial powers not known for their environmental stewardship or willingness to comply with international standards or really even challenge malfeasance and corruption. If that shit isn't full of heavy metals and industrial toxins, it'll be pure frigging luck. Edit. As several people have pointed out, wild beluga caviar is pretty much gone from the legitimate global market. Anything you're likely to encounter these days is going to be farmed. Beluga caviar is raised in tanks, not just harvested from random fish. Johnny Walker Blue Label tastes and goes down like any other decent whiskey. There are much better whiskers for $50 minus $100 for sure. I refuse to believe people actually like oysters. Oysters are just meat spoons for hot sauce. Caviar is just orbeez filled with salt water. I'm going with lobster thermida. I don't enjoy the combination of lobster and cheese. Lobster thermida, a crevette with a mornay sauce served in a provençal manner with shallots and aubergines garnished with truffle pate, brandy and with a fried egg on top and spam. Wagyu tartar is not where it's at. It's like eating beefy mayonnaise. You want lean tartar in general. And Wagyu ain't that. I love both but wouldn't want Wagyu tartar. Goose liver. Fish eggs. Where's the goose? Where's the fish? Why not Zoidberg? Civet poop coffee. Long ago, like ancient Roman times, the rich and elite would use lead oxide as a sweetener. Imagine putting lead rust in your coffee, lol. There was a lead issue with Roman food, but they weren't adding lead oxide to their food to sweeten it. This is a telephone game retelling of history. The real truth is that Romans used to boil a fruit-based sweetener called sapa, which was sometimes cooked in lead pots, which indeed added lead acetates to the mixture. But the majority was probably cooked in more common copper vessels, and it's likely that the prevalence of lead exposure via sapa consumption is overstated in popular culture. They definitely weren't directly adding lead oxide, both because they knew that pure lead was bad for you, and because lead oxide isn't sweet. $1,000 bottle of wine tastes as good as a $30.50 bottle. One of the worst wines I ever had was $450 for the bottle. My friend's dad is very rich and has bought many bottles of wine for him. There is an extremely rich old man I know, of railroad fame. If he's going to drink it, he has a $30 limit. If it's an investment, no price is too high. He has 5-6-digit valued bottles of wine and says they all suck. His favorite is Pinot Noirs from Oregon. Caviar. Way too salty for me. Real caviar uses borax instead of salt, which allows the actual flavor to shine through. However, a lot of countries ban using borax as a food additive because, it's borax. So they have to use a lot of salt instead. Since caviar isn't a staple, I think it's okay to include a little poison as a treat, but I also don't manage food safety regulations. Lobster is severely overrated. Give me crab legs or shrimp any day. I'm not a big fan either. If it was a budget, super healthy protein, I would eat it. It's okay. But for its price? Totally not worth it. Restaurant steak. Steaks house are freaking expensive over here and most of them can't even cook them properly. Don't know if raw oysters can be considered rich person food, but I have no idea how anyone can eat those slimy ocean boogers that can potentially kill you. They look revolting too. How that was ever considered an aphrodisiac, I haven't the slightest. Nothing sexy or attractive about watching someone slurp down a lump of salty slime. I think it depends on the oyster. My first was amazing. Like an ocean sort of flavored custard. It was soft and sort of fell apart. Other ones? Full on boogers, chewy ones. Gag worthy. I'll always be chasing that first one. Foie gras is just like meat flavored lard. I've never actually liked anything I had with truffle added. I've had a few different oils and salts and it all just buried the other flavors of my food and left the taste sort of like how mud smells on it. That isn't truffle, that's artificial truffle flavor. Which I don't actually mind but does not taste like actual fresh truffle. Arugula. I'm an organic produce farmer, and I sell a shit ton of arugula to rich people. And only rich people, for over $20 a pound. It tastes like peppery arseholes. Like a llama's dirty booty hole with some pepper on it. Like a lizard's dick. It's just awful. I don't get it. I think rich people just like saying arugula. Arugula is a rich people food. It's in bagged salad, for crying out loud.